My charging is laptop charge.
Reduce பண்ணணும்.
They will start. Okay.
Anita, can you just tell me? It's true that I still Nanu, I need to search it through.
Class, shall we start now? Yeah.
Pranam Stishi Sadhguru. Good morning. We welcome one and all to the one-day workshop on teaching methodology, learning to philosophize in the Indian context. We commence today's session by offering our pranams to Sri Sadhguru, the eternal teacher.
ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतम् भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि
Murthy, the pillar of support for the foundation, to welcome the guests on behalf of the foundation.
Good morning, everybody. I welcome all of you to this one-day discussion on the methodology of teaching. You know, teaching is in our blood. Even a small child loves to teach. The only thing is you tell the child to teach, immediately the child takes a stick. Because he or she has been seeing the master teachers with a stick. So immediately the child takes a stick, but the teaching is inherent in the child. So the methodology of teaching is very different, and especially for the subject of philosophy, which people say is a very drab and boring subject. And the students come to philosophy because they do not get admission in other disciplines. That is the general understanding. To some extent, it is true also. But what the teachers and the students forget is that it is the basis of the personality development of a child, of the student. Philosophy is the basis because it includes social development, personality development, psychological development. All these are included in the philosophy of life. So if the student in the first year, I think if we concentrate on this aspect, instead of bombarding the students with Maya and all that, because they get confused. The first year, if you teach the students how to develop the personality, how to beat the challenges that student faces later in life, and then the student develops a liking for philosophy. Once they start liking it, then it's an easy job for them. Because this is the basis. All philosophers are scientists, but all scientists are not philosophers. So this basis carries the child, the student, throughout his life. When he faces the world, when he faces challenges, he faces adverse circumstances, this training which he gets in the first year, that is 19, 20 years of age, that will help him a lot. So then the teaching should be, I feel, that the first year should be more oriented towards the development of the personality of the child, of the student, and how he can face life, because philosophy is a way of life. So this methodology, I think it will suit everybody. So with these few words, I really heartily welcome all of you to share your views and your opinions on how to teach, how to reach philosophy to all the students. Thank you so much.
Thank you for such a warm start, Professor. I request Swami Sripeetam to give us an introduction to the workshop.
Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. The origin of this workshop today is quite simple. I had been called for a meeting of philosophy teachers, but I was late, so I missed most of the discussions. But there were some people there who stayed back and briefed me about everything. And then later, I had some discussions with Professor Sampath Kumar about it, and then when Professor Paneer Selvam had come for his monthly meeting, I told him that we want to do this, and Dr. C.L. Ramachandran, who is unfortunately not able to come today, he very warmly supported the idea. And then after that, I asked Professor Bhatt. And Professor Bhatt, despite his very, very busy schedule, he's practically traveling, I think, 3 weeks. Philosophy is a very important part of our lives. It is the motive power which drives our lives. Each person has a philosophy, whether they know it or not. And the philosophies that we study are, and most philosophies, whether Indian or Western, which they talk about changing the person. I mean, changing the person is something which is a very great challenge that requires constant awareness and also not falling into ideas of I know, but I want to know. That is the attitude which should be there. So when we are looking at it as in that aspect, then we see how much we have to learn. At all times, there are things that we should learn. At all times, we should refresh ourselves from the springs of knowledge. And these concepts are infinite, and we are looking at it through a finite mind. So we like to have an idea of what it is like, and then hold on to that idea. So Vajashravas, the Rishi, he had an idea of giving. If I give is enough, that's what he thought. But then his son, he had more awareness. He saw the nature of giving, how we should give. The idea that Yajnavalkya, even when he was leaving the world, he continued to be a teacher, and he said he taught Maitreyi, and so many brilliant teachings he gave her. And he took even a small thing. He said it is not for the sake of the wife that the wife is beloved, it is for the sake of the self. So that immanence of the Atma, and even at that moment he was able to tell her and before he left. So this idea is that Vedanta is resurgent. This idea is that knowledge will always come out. We talk about the avatars of God, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glana Vibhavati Bharata. Bhagavan does not always come up like as though he is coming with his chakra and Padmam. He is coming at all times in the form of knowledge. The knowledge is resurgent. Whenever there's been difficulty, when the Bhakti, when the traditional leaders of society were not able to give spiritual instruction, then the Bhakti movement came up. So Vedanta is always very resurgent, it's always coming up. Knowledge is always coming up. And I've asked Professor Srikala also, and she's joining with me and creating a seminar about this concept, about this wondrous thing, that Vedanta is very resurgent, it keeps coming up. So all the dissident streams in Indian thought have all been fueled by Vedanta. All the dissident streams which have been successful in Indian thought have been fueled by Vedanta. So this, with Sadhguru's blessing, we hope to have sometime next year. And also as part of this continuous idea that we should be aware, we should have knowledge of, knowledge that is an understanding that we don't have knowledge, that there's much more for us to know. We are also having this International Peace Conference next year, and in which we are, Professor Bhatt is guiding us and supporting us. So this program is done with in his guidance and with his, even though it's not an ICPR program, so with his guidance. And it's the first of many programs. With Sadhguru's grace, we want to have this twice a year so that teachers of philosophy will be able to come. A lot of teachers have been wanting to join us, but unfortunately they knew of it too late. I've invited them to join us and watch the program on YouTube, and you can also tell any other philosophers whom you know who are not able to come that they can watch it over YouTube. And perhaps next time they will be able to join us. So this is a program which will be continuing with Sadhguru's grace, and that knowledge will keep, we have to keep refreshing our knowledge. Sri Sadguru Arpanamastu, Sri Krishna.
Thank you, Swamiji. I request Professor S. Selvam to give us a talk on the dynamics of the workshop.
Excluding Sripeetam people, 33. Sripeetam
most revered and respected Dubai, respected Professor S.R. Bhatt, respected Professor S.R. Bhatt, the chairman of Indian Council of Philosophical Research, respected resource persons, teachers from different parts of Tamil Nadu, and research scholars and students. At the outset, we are grateful to our Guru Bhai for giving me this opportunity of arranging the workshop on teaching methodology. In fact, 2 months ago when I met him, Guru Bhai suggested that we shall plan for a workshop on teaching methods in philosophy. And then we initially thought that we'll restrict this workshop, at least to start with the teachers of Tamil Nadu. Then when we were discussing this matter with our Honorable Chairman, Professor S.R. Bhatt, Professor Bhatt liked that idea and he said, why do you want to restrict it to Tamil Nadu, make it bigger, let it be for the entire country. But we suggested to Professor Bhatt that we shall have a big program in the month of January. That is a national workshop on the same theme, where we are going to invite participants from different parts of the country. As a humble beginning, we thought that let us restrict ourselves to Tamil Nadu teachers. In fact, we are grateful to teachers of Tamil Nadu, especially teachers representing Pondicherry, Tiruchi, and Madurai, Annamalai University, and many city colleges, colleagues and research scholars are here. We are grateful to them for their kind presence. Now, what is the methodology which we are going to adopt? In fact, some of them are asking, sir, what do you mean by methodology? We always, at least some of us would like to make a distinction between a method and a methodology. Of course, methodology is one way of understanding the philosophical method. So, in my introduction, or what we call the dynamics of the philosophical methodology, I would like to highlight some of the points with your kind permission. Now, how do we understand the term philosophy, or philosophy for what? Philosophy for freedom, philosophy for critical thinking, philosophy for exercising freedom in and through reflection, philosophy for the principle of knowing how to be, then philosophy as method, procedure as teaching. So the purpose of philosophy, one can say it is nothing but critical thinking. Next, please. Now, if you look at the UNESCO, their agenda on philosophy in 1953, the UNESCO emphasized the role of philosophy in becoming aware of the fundamental problems of science and culture and in the emergence of well-argued reflection on the future of human condition. This is what UNESCO says. And it says further, philosophy has changed. It has opened itself up to the world and to other disciplines. This means philosophy is nothing but an interdisciplinary approach where we involve different disciplines. Next. Now, one of the important themes suggested by UNESCO is that philosophy of action. Philosophy facing world problems, for example, it deals with dialogue, analysis, and questioning the contemporary society, and teaching philosophy in the world for promotion of independent thinking and critical reflection. Then promotion of philosophical thought and research is very much essential in order to know the significance of philosophy. Next, please. Now, what should be the approach? Because now when we say methodology, what should be our approach? So, interdisciplinary approach is very much essential, where one can synthesize philosophy, natural, social, and human sciences. So, this means translations of philosophical works which will promote intercultural understanding. Then there is a need for a dialogue, re-establishing a dialogue with anthropologists, sociologists, and other disciplines, so that one need not compartmentalize the disciplines. Next, please. Next one. Now, in the contemporary society, we are talking about applied philosophy. In fact, recently, the Indian Council of Philosophical Research, under the dynamic leadership of Professor Bhatt, has been stressing on this applied philosophy. 2 months ago, we had a workshop, 5-day workshop, and in Lucknow, wherein this point was very much stressed. So debates are going on. That's why I mentioned this. Debates are going on at the national level to emphasize how philosophical teaching can be more effective. Next. So it is necessary at the secondary education level. I'll show you a few slides wherein one can see how in Western countries philosophy is taught at the secondary level education. So we must introduce a philosophical understanding of the concepts in a very simple way, thus teaching the following both at the theory and the practical level. So in the coming slide, you can see how in the secondary level itself, these concepts are taught. For example, teaching the rights and duties, then teaching individual as well as social good, then teaching politics of different identity, the next slide also. Then we talk about the development philosophy, preserve the planet, that's what we call eco-philosophy. Then we are also developing a creative method in philosophizing to understand the problem. So these 5 important items are taught at the secondary level itself in foreign universities, foreign countries, sorry. I'll skip this. Then next. Next. The study of philosophy actually in Indian universities and colleges has dwindled over the years after independence, like other subjects under humanities. In fact, I would say the entire humanities discipline is dwindling. Especially if you see this in some universities like Madras University, wherein not only philosophy is affected, but also like anthropology and sociology, even politics. So these are some of the humanities departments which have been very much affected at present. So why this is happening? This is mainly because philosophy does not lead to any specialized profession except the teaching of philosophy, though it could lead like any other subject to any general administrative job. Next slide, please. So philosophy, of course, has all of us know that it has got 3 broad areas of inquiry: metaphysics, epistemology, and philosophy of values. In fact, our council is emphasizing on this. I'll show you some slides wherein we are concentrating on this. Now, any philosophy of values is inquiry into the goals of human life. So, the study of values is closely related to metaphysics. A value is anything which one considers to be valuable, worthy of pursuit. So, the conception of values in schools, for example, depends on the conception of the reality. For example, materialism has no place for salvation in its scheme of values, but a school that recognizes the soul naturally admits the idea of salvation. Just as one thinks of reality, so does one conceive the values of values. Next. Now, there are material values, cultural values, spiritual values. All are these of same importance? That is a question which I have to raise in the context of Indian philosophical discourse. So, can we afford to pursue one type of values in disregard to other values? Next one, please. So, there is a need for understanding philosophy in the context of a global problem. It is because no man is an island. Man is a social being, and the concern for others and care for building up the community and peaceful coexistence on peace and harmony are the central aim of a philosophy and religion. Of course, this is what we call Loka Sangraha. This means that human beings in different religions and philosophical thoughts are not mutually exclusive, but different and complementary roles and talents. Next one. Next. Now, what should be the response of philosophy to the problems that are faced in society? This is one of the important issues which is quite often asked by our students in universities and colleges, because whether philosophy can solve the problems of the present day society. Now, it is because we are teaching, at least sometimes, that we are teaching ivory tower philosophy, thereby ignoring our social values, norms, and concerns for others. So, what is the right attitude of philosophy? In other words, how should philosophy proceed in the 21st century? And I am sure that this workshop will focus on these issues. Now, India is just proud of its long tradition and religious tolerance from the time of Ashoka. Next one will go. Next. We are talking about the concept like Sarvadharma Samabhava. Next. 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 Then also we are talking about the concept like Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. Next. 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 Now, what should be the task of philosophy? My focus is on this 5 important principles. One is conceptualizing, formulating problems, classifying ideas, logic and dialectics, and then critical thought. This should be the task of philosophy according to me. Next one, please. Now, how to philosophize? Because this is one of the important issues that is discussed. Great thinkers like Dayakrishna, Rajendra Prasad, Professor Bhatt, Professor Balasubramanian, and many others. So, how to philosophize? They say one can philosophize by using the cultural tools, existential tools, spiritual tools. Philosophy can be therapeutic, political, social, and intellectual. So, there are different ways of philosophizing. Then philosophy at what level? This is one of the important issues. Primary level, secondary level, university level, and informal level also we are teaching. Now, throughout the country, we can see at primary, secondary, and university informal 5 countries are using this methodology. Then 40 countries, they teach philosophy in secondary, university, and informal teaching. And 17 countries they teach only at the university level. So, what is important is that philosophy is taught at a secondary level itself. But unfortunately, if you take the Tamil Nadu situation, it is very pathetic because they were taught only at the higher secondary. That also now removed. So this is a very, very dangerous situation. So if you follow this pattern, then perhaps in future we may not get good students for philosophy. So putting philosophy into practice, this is very much essential because all the time we have been theorizing, but this is a need of the hour that we develop the applied philosophy. So philosophical counseling is very much essential. In fact, now we are talking about philosophical counseling because hitherto it was in the hands of the psychologists also. Psychologists alone. But now philosophers also give counseling. In fact, many foreign countries that philosophical counseling has picked up very well. Then philosophy gathering like this. and then philosophy workshop like this workshop, then philosophy weekly meetings. In fact, we have got Chennai Philosophical Forum, which we conduct meetings every month. Then philosophical forums. All these help us to develop philosophical discourse in a broader perspective. Now, what is important is that philosophy must have interaction with the society, which means there should be a participation by the community members, and this is very much essential for us to involve ourselves in social and environmental problems. And I feel that philosophers alone can give solution to some of the environmental problems, especially if you read the Upanishads and the Puranic literature. You can see how the modern problems of ecology could be tackled from ancient perspective. So the methods are very much available in Indian philosophical tradition. The only thing is we neglect this methodology, which is very much available in Indian tradition. So Indian philosophical method, this is one of the important result, I would say, which we have derived when we conducted a workshop in Lucknow in the month of July with Professor Bhatt. And there we come across 4 important points. You see, one is the experience centrality. This is very important. Then secondly, goal-oriented value scheme, cultural embeddedness, and then a holistic and integral approach. This is very important. In fact, our idea to have this workshop at Lucknow was to prepare a detailed syllabus both for undergraduate and postgraduate level, and we thought that we can forward this to the UGC as well as other bodies, so that they can adopt this methodology and they can implement this. So, Professor, under the dynamic leadership of Professor Isar, but we have come to this consensus. That is, philosophy should concentrate on these 4 things. Then experience centrality, that is goal-oriented value scheme, cultural embeddedness, and then a holistic and integral approach. And I think that this methodology, if we follow strictly, then a new approach will emerge in philosophical discourse. And another important thing which we would like to stress here is that it is very much essential for a student to read one Indian philosophical text. This is very much essential. In fact, in Madras University, we have been doing this. We taught Montague Karika, and now we are teaching Naishkar Mesidi. So each and every student must have the knowledge of one Indian and one Western. Western one may skip, but it is very much essential for us to read at least one original text. And moreover, we have to develop a course in such a way that the core content is more on Indian philosophical tradition. Because now all of us are talking about Western philosophy, because I feel that it is very much essential. I am trained in Western philosophical methodology, like postmodernism, phenomenology, and all that one. But what I feel is that it is high time for us to go back to our own tradition and see how these methods, for example, the linguistic methods or the phenomenological method or even the postmodern methodology are very much available in Indian philosophical tradition. So the idea here is in this workshop is to look at philosophy from Indian perspective, so that many of the problems which we are facing today can easily be solved. So this is what I would like to place before you. This is just introduction. Of course, in my talk, which I am going to deliver later, I would like to see the comparative approach which one can see between Indian philosophical method and Western philosophical method. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. We request Professor S. Bhatt, Chairman. Sorry, sir. We request Professor S.R. Bhatt, Chairman of Indian Council of Philosophical Research, to light the lamp. Thank you, Professor. We'd like to hear the remarks of Professor S.R. Bhatt.
Our reverential regards to Sri Sadhguru, revered Swamiji,